Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing our next episode of Stitch Dictionary, the Crochet Cables. In this video you will learn everything you need to know about crocheting cables, and I will tell you that you will need to be proficient in a double crochet. We're going to be working with all front and back post double crochets, and if you need any help with these types of stitches, I do have a video in the description box below on front and back post double crochet if you need to brush up. So let's go ahead and get going with easy crochet cables. I'm using my Lion Brand Woolies Thick and Quick. This colorway is Fig and my NP 10mm hook. You will need a bulky weight yarn, and this one is definitely my favorite to work with. It's what I'm using for all of my Stitch Dictionary swatches. And if you want to see any more of those, you can head on over to my main channel page where I have the playlist. So go ahead and start with a slip knot and start your foundation chain. We are going to be chaining 27. So go ahead and chain 27. If you wanted to make this bigger, you could do any multiple of 24 plus 3, but I do recommend just following along with me here, making a small swatch to get the hang of things. So go ahead and create your foundation chain. Don't be worried about this technique being too hard. It really is very simple. Cables scared me for a long time, and I really shouldn't have let them overwhelm me because once I tried it, it was so much easier than I thought it would be. So once we have our 27 chains, go ahead and count and make sure that that's exactly how many you have. If you're even one count off, it will make things much more difficult. So here I am just finishing that up. And then we're going to begin with row 1. If you need the written pattern to follow along, that link is in the description box below as well. In the 4th chain from your hook, make a double crochet. Starting off nice and easy here. So there's our first double crochet and our turning chain. We can see what that end should be looking like. And then we're just going to double crochet in each stitch all the way across. So in order to do cabling successfully, you should be very, very comfortable with double crochets and front and back post double crochets. I will move a little bit quickly here just because cables are a bit intricate and I won't be going over what front and back post double crochets should look like. So again, if you need help with that, the link is in the description box below. So once you've double crocheted in each stitch across, you should have 24 double crochets. So I've chained 3 and turned, and I've gone ahead and double crocheted in the very first stitch here that you can see, so a regular double crochet. Now we're going to start cabling, so we're going to skip over the next 2 stitches and work in the following 2 stitches. So we're going to look at this as a group of 4 stitches, skip the first 2, and then we're going to work a front post double crochet around the 3rd. So skip these 2 here, work around the 3rd, front post double crochet. Make sure your tension is loose, you're not too stiff or too tense here. Loose tension is a must with cabling. We're going to do a long double crochet, so pull through 1 and then pull through 2, pull through 2. So let's do that again in the next stitch. A long front post double crochet, so that is yarn over, insert around the pillar of the double crochet, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So you can see here it's a modified front post double crochet with just a yarn over, pull through 1, and all of our cables are going to get this long double crochet. So we're going to go back to these first 2 skipped stitches. We're going to work in the very first one, so again make sure your tension is pretty loose here because we're going to front post double crochet around this very first stitch, so a long front post double crochet. So you can see how I do that here. We're going to yarn over, we're going to work around that very first stitch. Loose tension here, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. And you'll see things start to twist over itself. We're going to do the same thing in that second skipped stitch. It may try to hide under there, but you can find it. Alright, so we've done 2 long front post double crochets. Now moving on in the next stitch that has not been worked yet, regular double crochet. So our first set of cables began. We have begun the first set of cables on this right side. We can see it twisting over itself here. Now moving on, we're going to be looking at the next set of stitches. We're going to look at it as a set of 12 stitches, so 4 sets of 3. So we're going to be working the next 12 stitches and kind of looking at it as one cable, because this is going to be basically a mega braided cable that's made up of 4 sets of 3 stitches. So 3, 3, 3, 3 is how you want to look at this, and this will make sense as we move forward here. So looking at the first set of 3 stitches, we're going to start off nice and easy. In each of the first 3, we're going to just do a regular front post double crochet. Not a long one, just a regular. There's the second and the third. So our first set of 3 stitches are done. Easy, right? Now looking at the next 2 sets of 3, so the next 6 stitches, this is going to be the first braid of the center cable. So what we're going to do here is we're going to skip over the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, skip those, and then in the fourth one do a long front post double crochet. So pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And then we're going to work front post double crochets, long front post double crochets in each of the next 2. So if you're looking at the 12 stitches in the center, this is our third set of 3. We're doing long front post double crochets. Now that we've done those 3, we're going to go back in the 3 skipped stitches, and this is a little complicated, so watch what I'm doing here. We're going to work in these 3 skipped stitches. Now what we're going to do is basically work a long double crochet, not a front post, but a double crochet kind of from behind. So go ahead and yarn over, and then we're going to work behind those 3 stitches, and we're going to work into the top of the first skipped stitch. So look at this kind of from behind. We've yarned over, we're going to insert our hook in the top of the first skipped stitch and then work a long double crochet. So same thing in the next stitch. We can see here that this is kind of working behind. So now we can see the top of the second stitch, yarn over, insert down and behind, go in the top of the stitch. So the top of the stitch there, we can see where we did the first one. Top of the stitch, I know this is a little hard to see, but basically work in the top of the stitch, as you can see there. So don't do a front post double crochet, we're just doing a long regular double crochet working in the top of the stitch. So you can see there where the yarn is joined into the top of the skipped stitch. So now that we've pulled up a loop and we have 3 loops on our hook, we're going to yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. So there's our second one of the skipped stitches, and then we just need to do the third. So yarn over, come kind of from behind through the top of the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. If you need to pause this and watch that again a couple of times to make sure that you get the hang of it, totally fine. Feel free to watch this as many times as you need to get the hang of that. Now that you've finished that little part, that is the hardest part of this entire thing. So kudos to you. We have our center cross and the mega cable in the middle. So now in the next 3 stitches that are unworked, we're going to work 3 front post double crochets. So just regular front post double crochets in each of the next 3 stitches. So this finishes up our 12. This is the last set of 3 stitches in the 12 that make up the center mega cable, as I'm calling it, since it's a much more intricate cable than the ones on the sides. So there, our 12 stitches that make up our center mega cable are done. So this one is just consisting of the 3 front post double crochets on each side of it and then the 1 cross in the middle. We're going to do a regular double crochet in the next stitch. And then we need to work our other side cable like we did on the first side. We're going to match that on the second side. So we're going to do the same thing we did at the beginning of this row, row 2. Same process. So we're going to skip 2 stitches. And then we're going to long front post double crochet around the third. So there's our long front post, and we're going to do another long front post double crochet around the next stitch. Now we need to go back and complete this cable and work in the 2 skipped stitches. So here in these 2 skipped, you're going to do a long front post double crochet around the first skipped stitch. Again, loose tension here as we cross these cables. You need to have enough yarn kind of slack to make everything nice and even without it twisting up and curling up on itself. Alright, so there is our second cable done, and we should just have a stitch left and work a regular double crochet into that. And just like that, our first row of cabling is done. You have done it. You have officially cabled. I know that it doesn't look much like the finished product at this point, but I promise you are well on your way. So here we've chained 3 and turned. We've double crocheted in the very first stitch, regular double crochet. And now, because we're working on the back side of things, we're only going to be working those cables on the front side of the work. So when we're looking at the back side, we're always going to be working back post double crochets. So in the order that the stitches are there, back post double crochet. So because these cables are twisting the stitches around and we're skipping stitches and then going back and working them, it may look a little confusing, but make sure just to work every single stitch in the order that it is. So don't skip around anything, don't skip and come back like we did on the first side, just work each back post double crochet in the order that it is right there. So we've worked 1 regular double crochet in the first stitch, and then because there's a small cable here, we're going to work 4 back post double crochets over all of those cabling stitches. And every time that there is a regular double crochet anywhere, we're going to just work a regular double crochet into the top of the stitch. So here's our regular double crochet between cables, so we're going to work a regular double crochet, not a back post, in that one. So here we are at the mega center cable. So for this one, all 12 stitches are going to get a back post double crochet. We can see here how that cable is looking with those back post stitches. These rows working on the back side with those back post double crochets are really going to make the cabling effect take shape. So moving on with these 12 stitches, we're going to just work 12 back post double crochets straight across. So these sets of regular front post double crochets that we did on the first side are going to be really easy to do back posts on now. But here, now that we've gotten to the twist, the cable that has crossed over itself over these next 6 stitches, it can get a little confusing. So just look at things in the order that they are. So look at the stitches that are closest to your hook at this point. The ones that have crossed over, that is where you're going to stitch first. So these back stitches that are sticking out right in front of us here, those are the ones closest to our hook. And that's what we're going to do first. So back post double crochet around all of these. There's the first, there's the second. Again, loose tension here, make sure to relax. And there is the third. So this may be a little awkward to work around, but go ahead and back post that one. So now those 3 are done, so now we need to grab these 3 that are kind of sitting in front. They have crossed over and you are doing everything in order, but because we're still getting the cables going, it's kind of laying on top of itself, so you kind of have to grab them and pull them over. Back post double crochet on each of these 3. You may need to kind of pull the cable into place. As you can see, I'm kind of pulling the stitch over to the left so that I can work it. So there's our back post double crochets for that, and then 3 more to go for the mega center cable. Back post double crochet. These last 3 are easy, no confusion here, just work them right in a row. And then after the mega cable is done, we have 1 regular double crochet, so just work a double crochet into that top of the stitch. And then we have our smaller side cable, and we're just going to, just like we did with the first side, we're going to back post double crochet in each of these, just right in order. These are a bit easier to see what order we need to go in, and it's easier just to see what comes first. The center cable is a bit more confusing, but I know you guys can handle it. So back post double crocheting, here's our last one. And then we will have 1 regular double crochet in the last stitch of the row. So that was a regular double crochet from the first row, and a regular double crochet here as well. So the back is looking very different from the front. We're going to chain up 3 and turn, and now we can see that things are really starting to look a bit more cabled. We still have a lot of work to do to get it to look like the finished product, but it's definitely headed in the right direction. So give your hands a little stretch and get ready to do the second part of our repeat. The first part of our repeat is done. So now we're going to be learning the second part. So go ahead and double crochet in the very first stitch, regular double crochet. And now we're going to do the same thing that we did in the first rotation. So skip 2 stitches, long front post double crochet around the third. These side cables will always be the same. You're always going to do the same thing with the side cables. You're going to skip the first 2, work the second 2, and then go back and work the first 2. So here we're coming back. We're going to work the very first skipped one, long front post double crochets, loose tension. The tighter your tension is here with the twisting cables, the tighter the cable will be and your fabric will want to curl up on itself. So make sure that you have plenty of loose tension happening. You can see that when I pull up my loop before I start yarning over and pulling through, I kind of give myself a little extra slack here, a little extra room, just like with most front post stitches. So there we can start to see the cable really looking nice and starting to look how it's going to in the finished product. So next we have a regular double crochet. And now here comes the mega center cable. So instead of looking at this as 3 regular front post double crochets and then a cross in the middle and then 3 regular front post double crochets, in the second rotation here, the second part of our repeat, we're going to be doing a cross on the right and a cross on the left. So instead of a single, a cross, and a single, we're going to cross these first 2 sets of 3 stitches, and then we're going to cross the second 2 sets of 3 stitches. So skip the first 3 stitches of the 12, work long front post double crochets around the next 3. So there is our first, our second, and our third. Long front post double crochets. Now at this point you're going to go back to the 3 that you just skipped, these 3 here, and we're not going to come in from the back this time. We're going to just cross right over in front and work 3 long front post double crochets into these 3 stitches. If you need to just watch this row once or twice through before attempting it yourself, it will all make sense here in just a moment when you see the finished product, what I'm doing here and why I'm doing it. But if it looks a little confusing at this point, try watching it again, slow down, and then try it for yourself. So here I'm working all 3 skipped front post double crochets. Make sure you're making long front post double crochets. Okay, so we've worked the first 6 stitches of the 12 with a crossing cable. Now looking at the next 6 stitches, we have our set of 3 and our set of 3. We're going to skip the first set of 3. 1, 2, 3, skip those, work into the 4th, long front post double crochet. There is 1, there is 2, and there is 3. We're almost done with the mega center cable. So now we need to go back into those skipped 3 stitches, and we're going to do the same thing we just did. So crossing down and in front, don't work behind like we did in row 2. We're going to cross down and in front and work long front post double crochets over the 3 skipped stitches. So you can see here how it should be looking so far. We have a cross there on the right side of the 12 stitches, the 12 that make up the center mega cable. We've crossed those, and now we need to go back and cross into the 3 skipped stitches. So we can see here they're kind of hiding back there, so you can dig in and find them. Long front post double crochets, working into the first skipped stitch and then the second. Make sure you have plenty of room, plenty of slack in your tension. There's the second long front post double crochets, and then the third is probably tucked away and hiding deep down within this cable, but just kind of push at it from behind and it should poke through. So now our center mega cable is done for this row. And we're going to just work a regular double crochet in the next unworked stitch. We can see here how it should be looking. At this point, it may look like a total mess, but I promise it'll work out very soon. So here's our little cable on the side. Skip the first 2 stitches, doing the same thing we've done, so this should be getting easier over here. 2 long front post double crochets. And then 2 long front post double crochets into the 2 skipped stitches. And there's the second one. Same thing always on these smaller mini cables on the sides. And then a regular double crochet in the very last stitch to finish off row 4. And at this point, you have done all there is to cable and crochet. You have done all of the rows. Now it's just a matter of repeating. So we can see here how it should be looking. Over the course of the next few rows, it will start to take shape a little bit more, so don't worry if it doesn't look exactly right. To me, on camera and video, this looks a lot cleaner than it did in person. When I was holding it in my hands at this stage, I was really worried that it was kind of come out looking like a mess. So here we can see the center mega cable is kind of curving around in one direction. And in the finished product, it looks like this cable is intertwined and super intricate, and it doesn't look anything like this, to be honest. So don't get to this stage and get really worried that you've done everything wrong and you need to start over. Just keep going and it'll take shape, I promise. So going ahead and moving forward, we're going to chain 3, and now we're just going to repeat what was row 3. So every time that you are looking at the back side of your work, and that will be very obvious which side is the front and which is the back, we're going to do the same thing we always do. So the same process for the back side, double crochet in the first stitch, and then back post double crochet in all of the cabled stitches. So just working right across here in a row. I do want to show you how I work this row because that center mega cable can be a little confusing. So even though this video is already plenty long at this point, I want to go ahead and take a couple of extra minutes just to film this and let you guys see how I'm doing it. So I've back post double crocheted across the mini cable here, just working right in a row. So that's looking nice and flat. Regular double crochet over the regular double crochets here. And then we're going to back post double crochet right along this mega cable. So because we have 2 crosses, 2 twists in this row, make sure that you're working whatever stitches are closest to your hook to start off. So in this case, it's the ones that are lying on the bottom as we're looking at it now. As you're looking at it from the back side, it'll be the stitches that are closest to your work table or your lap or wherever you're doing this. The stitches furthest from you. The ones laying on the bottom of the twist as you look at it. So back post double crochet those, and then you can kind of push those out of the way and work down here, still back post double crochet in the 3 that are on the closer side to you of the twist. Make sure you're not skipping any stitches here. It does get very easy to accidentally skip one, and you will know it when you go to work the front side again. It'll seem like stitches have disappeared. So go ahead and just back post double crochet in each stitch across. Here's the other cross. Again, we're going to start with the ones that are furthest from us, laying on the bottom of the twist, the bottom of the cable as we look at it. Back post double crochet in all of those, and then we will work the second 3. If you need to pause at this point and go a whole lot slower than this, that's totally fine. I've tested this particular cable swatch a couple of times, so I've gotten a bit quicker at it, especially these rows of just back post double crochet where I can just work straight across and not really think about counting or where my stitches need to go. I'm just working straight across. But if this is the first time you're trying it and you need to go way slower than I am. I went way slower at first. It's only because I've done this several times and now I'm filming it that I'm moving a bit more quickly. So don't worry about going slower than I am. Totally normal, especially with a more complex stitch pattern like this one. Regular double crochet in the next after we've worked those 12. And we're almost home free, you guys. Back post double crochets across this mini cable. We are so close to starting over our repeat. Can almost taste it. Back post double crochet. And here's our last back post double crochet. And then of course we're just going to work a regular double crochet in the last stitch right on the edge of this row. So row 5 is done. That's how the back should be looking. We're going to chain up 3. And from here on out, we're just going to be repeating. So now it's starting to look a bit more cabled. It's starting to look a little bit more like the finished product will look. But again, it's going to change a lot as you keep repeating. So don't beat yourself up too much if this isn't looking exactly how you want it. Just press on, hold out, and you will definitely be pleased with the finished product, I promise. So we can see here that in the first rotation we had straight sets on the sides and a cross in the center. Now we have 2 crosses on top of 1 cross. So you can see that in the center mega cable and then the mini cables on the sides, it's starting to take shape and you can kind of see how this works. So at this point we're just going to repeat rows 2 through 5. So we're going to basically be starting over. The mini cables will always be worked the same way. Skip the first 2, long front post double crochets around the second 2, and then go back to the first 2. I'm just going to show you getting started here. Go back and work the first 2. So if you need to rewind this video to the beginning and look at how I did all of these rows over again to do your repeat, again, totally fine. I actually recommend that just to make sure you're stitching in the right places. If you do want to follow the written pattern, that is linked in the description box below, but for me, the written version of cabling is really confusing. It's so much easier just to watch someone do it and pause and follow along. So basically here we're going to be repeating row 2, so we're going to be repeating that set with the 3 front post double crochets. Regular front post double crochets, we're not crossing yet, we're keeping it straight here on the sides of the sets of 12 stitches. So 3 regular front post double crochets just as we did in row 2. It just looks a little different since we're working on top of cabled rows instead of working on top of that line of straight double crochets. So there's our 3 front posts, regular old front posts. Now we're going to cross. So skip the next 3 stitches and long front post double crochet over the next 3. So this is what I'm calling the first set of the repeat. The first set just has that cross right in the center, and then the second set of the repeat has the 2 crosses within the mega cable, if that makes sense. So here we need to go back and work into the 3 skipped, and this is where we will always work from behind, and we're going to just long double crochet, don't work front post. If you need to flip it over to see the tops of those stitches, they should be right there. Pull up a loop. Again, we're working into the top of those stitches, long double crochets. I know this part looks and feels very awkward. It still looks and feels awkward to me too, but it's just the way we do it. I pulled mine out here because I wasn't happy with where the placement was and how my tension was, so I pulled it out and I'm redoing it. See, even the pros, it takes a couple of tries to get it right. So there's the first one, working the second long double crochet, working into the top of the stitch. With this pattern, anytime that you are working a cable stitch, anything that is twisting, it needs to be a long double crochet, whether it's front post or not. If it is part of a twist, it's a long double crochet. So skip those next 3 stitches, and then in the last 3 of the 12, we're going to work regular front post double crochets. So here they're not long, they're just regular front posts, and that is because we're not twisting. Although this is part of the mega cable, it's not twisting on this particular moment. So after we finish that, we've finished up our 12 stitches, regular double crochet in the next. And then we have our mini cable. So now we can see things are kind of starting to twist up in the center, like it looks in the finished product, kinda, sorta, a little bit. So working that mini cable, we've skipped the first 2. This should be gravy at this point, working these mini cables. Go back in the first 2. Long front post double crochets, and then of course after we finish this row we're going to be working on the back side, so we'll be doing all of those back post double crochets once again, and then just repeating from here on out. Basically I've at this point showed you a video version of every row that you will come across in this pattern. So if you get stumped at any point, just kind of find that place in this video and watch it again. So that is Crochet Cabling 101. And we can see here in progress how the mega cable should be looking in the center. Things should be twisting over themselves, but because your tension hasn't been too tight, this should lay pretty flat. It won't lay perfectly flat until we block it, but that's okay. So we can see here the first repeat has 1 cross in the middle, straight sides. Second repeat has 2 crosses. Our repeat again has 1 cross in the middle, straight sides, and then moving forward we will have 2 crosses, and then those mini cables are always the same, just to help you visualize how the repeats kind of flow. So here we have the finished swatch. Looks a little bit different than the swatch in progress, but as you progress it will just kind of take this shape on its own. Mini cables down the sides, big intricate mega cable down the center. Lots of yummy texture and softness. This is a very thick cabled pattern. There's almost no gapping. I have single crocheted around the perimeter. So after I finished my repeats, I've chained 1 and then just worked a row of single crochets all the way around, working 2 single crochets in each corner. So working down those rough sides along the bottom, back up the other side. And that has just kind of helped even things out and give me a nice symmetrical look, especially since the back looks much different from the front and the bottom looks much different from the top and so on. Doing a nice single crochet all the way around definitely helps. I hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial on crochet cabling. Make sure to leave me a comment if you have any questions or issues. Consult the written pattern linked in the description box below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it or want to see more like it. And follow along with all of our Stitch Dictionary episodes that are on my main channel page in the playlist at the bottom of the page. Make sure to click subscribe if you want to see more of my videos every week. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.